Hey, welcome back to my channel, Tool for Talks, and today I thought we'd take a look at this Weird Science Volume 1, recently released from, I think, is it Dark Horse, and just a catalog or a collection of, some of the early issues of the Weird Science comic from EC, and yeah, there it is, Dark Horse. And man, I don't know. It just showed up it was recommended to me on Amazon, and I don't know. I don't know if it was on sale or what, but it was pretty cheap. And I kind of quit buying books from Amazon because I just had too many show up damaged. This one isn't too bad. I don't know if you can see the back cover is starting to separate, and this is, I don't know, a tear in the top corner. If I would have paid new price, I guess it would have been more annoying, but I just wish Amazon, I mean, they're a bookseller, you'd think they could get their poop in a group, and figure out a way to ship books in new condition, especially, something like this, man, this collection, because people are going to buy this and they're going to buy it for the art. And the interior pages, everything looks good. And but still, Amazon, come on, man, get your shit happening here. Let's do something about that. But this is anyway, man, I'm really happy with this. I have pretty much, maybe not zero experience with EC Comics, but not a lot of experience. I would just somehow get a hold of the random issue here and there. But the cover story of the first included issue, Weird Science number 12, is Lost in the Microcosm, and it's sort of an Antman type tale. And I'm not going to the movie because I've kind of lost interest in the Marvel movies. I think the Eternals was the last one I saw in the theater. No, it wasn't in the theater. The last one, yeah, I was really looking forward to anyway. And I fell asleep watching it, which, I mean, man, if there's a movie series, if there's an IP that you shouldn't be falling asleep watching, it's Marvel. And so I don't know. Actually, after, yeah, Endgame, I don't know. I've just been kind of not that into it. But yeah, so we've got, this is the cover for issue number 12. And I think I know the interiors are Harvey Kurtzman. So I'm assuming, and the cover looks a lot like the interior artwork. So I'm guessing, um, yeah, Harvey Kurtzman here. So I'm guessing he must have also, you know, that must be his cover. But it starts off right here. This is a nice page. The other thing, it showed up as a recommend on Amazon, but I guess I've been hearing a lot about EC, and I listened, I don't know, like when I was doing that, reading through Mouse and working on that video. Not that I put a lot of work into it. You guys have probably figured that out by now. But I did watch a few interviews with him, and one of them was with Neil Gaiman. And I know they were both talking about the wonders of EC Comics. And I don't know, which is fine. Art was kind of trashing, DC or, the big two at the same time, which I don't know. I don't know if that's really cool. They're kind of, I mean, just to me, like indie comics and Marvel and DC are just, completely like separate worlds. But yeah, anyway, I guess I could go into that, but man, I mean, you're doing okay. Do you really need to trash anybody? I mean, maybe. Part of it was he was talking about how, he really learned how about page layouts and about telling stories from, independent comics, and that, use DC as an example of how not to lay out a page. There was one of those pages where, every once in a while you'll be reading through a book from the 70s and they thought you needed arrows to guide your eye. And a lot of times, you do. There wasn't a good page layout. But, you have to remember these guys are putting out hundreds of pages every month. And, there was something about the excitement of having these monthly books that I don't know if you can still get that from, um, going to the local comic shop on Wednesday. There's something about them being everywhere, yet if you wanted a certain thing, it was nowhere and you really had to dig. And, there was just a lot of anticipation, at least for me. So I don't know. I'm okay with the big two. I'm not really too happy. I haven't been really into what they're doing lately. But, in the history of comics, I think overall, I think if my comic turns out okay, I mean, most of the storytelling I learned just by osmosis from reading comics came from, reading Marvel and DC books predominantly, you know, um, the horror books, the, science fiction, fantasy, or science fiction-y type stuff was more, um, maybe from Charlton books. There were still Charlton books on the stands when I was buying. I don't remember any real science fiction stuff, but I know they had some horror tales or horror books that I was pretty into. The art was always really great. And anyway, I haven't been able to find them though. I'm still digging through boxes of my stuff, but from when I was a kid, but I have not found the Charlton books yet. But anyway, this starts off lost in the microcosm. And, so we've got this guy, he's in tough shape, and he's talking to Professor Dreeben. And, he wants to tell Professor Dreeben his story. And man, does he have a story to tell. He tells him of being a scientist in a lab. And, he's working with Professor Einstadt. And Professor Einstadt has perfected a method for shrinking things, living things, inanimate things. But, the problem seems to be that they just keep shrinking. And Professor Einstein is like, man, wouldn't it be cool to find out what in the heck, this test subject is going to experience? What is beyond, the visible? What do we see? When you get smaller than an atom, what's there? Well, sadly, or, I mean, not for us as readers, because it makes for a, okay story, is that Carl, he has a little lab accident, a lab leak. We all know about lab leaks at this point. And, you know, fortunately for the rest of the world, the lab leak is confined to the lab. In this case, but in Carl's case, maybe he's not so fortunate. So Carl's shrinking, and he doesn't stop shrinking. He's going, and Professor Einstadt is good enough to shrink a little gun for him. So now he has a sidearm as he shrinks into the microcosm or microverse or whatever. Probably not microverse. Yeah, so Professor Einstein is just watching poor Carl until he disappears into his pores. Okay, and then Carl, of course, he gets to use the gun. If you introduce a gun, right, on the second page, You have to use it by the third page. So there he is, blasting what, white blood corpuscles. Cool, huh? Very cool. So he shrinks out of sight, smaller than the atom, and he finds out that basically, I don't know, each atom is its own world or something like that. I'm not sure. It's been a few days since I read it. Now I was reaching the frontiers of the microcosm, as yet undiscovered by man. Our scientists knew of the molecule and of the atoms composing it, but what was the complex structure of the atom? It was at this point that I made a smashing discovery. It can't be. This is incredible. The atom, the tiny atom, is actually an astronomic solar system. Wow. Quite a discovery. So small comfort when you're shrinking, yeah, into yet another, I don't know, another universe, another galaxy, another dimension. So anyway, he gets small enough where he can take advantage of the gravitational pull of a planet, and he uses that gravity well to hang tight. And he shrinks, but then he keeps shrinking. Man, and again, the gun, Professor Carl versus the hungry protozoa. That would have made a good cover. Yeah, so anyway, he just keeps shrinking from world to world. It's funny how he kept finding these human type worlds. Yeah, and so finally we end up back here. So isn't that crazy? So the way the book started, the fellow he's telling his story to, right there, he's not a crazy guy. He's a guy shrinking and traveling through the microcosm. So I don't know, is this a true story? Maybe. Might be. So remember Carl in your prayers tonight. You know, there's labs all over the world. I'm sure this has happened somewhere in the last 40 years. But cool. Anyway, sorry for rambling so much at the beginning. I was hoping to keep this like a 5-minute video and just maybe go through a story. They're not all that good. Some of them kind of stink, but I mean, I think what got me thinking in the terms of whether, you know, what's good and what's not at the beginning of the video was, you know, there were a lot of people saying, don't buy this volume in their reviews online. Wait, because the later stuff is better. And so I guess I'll find out. I'll probably keep buying the volumes as they come out because I can't tell the difference sometimes, you know. To me, it's like either I stay awake through the story and it moves along and it's fun, or, you know, makes me think, or I get something out of it, or it doesn't. This one, I mean, I suppose this is a story that's been told a million times, but, you know, the way it's broken down like this into what? It's like 6 pages, 1, 2, or 8 pages. I mean, it's like, yeah, this is a story. It's a story of a shrinking guy that goes from dimension to dimension. I mean, boom, nothing else. There's nobody back home looking for him. There's, you know, no connections that we know of anywhere. Nobody's, you know, I suppose Professor Einstein is probably maybe trying to rescue him, but we don't know. And it's just, you know, it's right there. It's kind of the nuts and bolts. So, you know, maybe you're going to do a story of a shrinking man. I don't know. Maybe I will. And then I can flesh it out, change things a little bit. and it'll be a completely different deal. But okay, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Yeah, if you could like and subscribe, maybe check check out my Indiegogo. I'd appreciate it. And I don't know if this video gets any views at all. I'll probably do a few more stories from Weird Science. So yeah, cheers. Take care.